right, John? Counselor, you may begin.
Today is Tuesday, September 1st, 2002. The time is approximately 10:03 a.m. The location is 555 West Harrison Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60607. This matter is in regard to case numbers 534-675-309, 534-675-310, 534-675-311, filed in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois, entitled Childs, Green and Odom versus the City of Chicago, Childs, Green and Odom versus Charles Burnett, and Childs, Green and Odom versus John O'Donnell. The deponent is John O'Donnell. This video has been requested by Harold Lyman, counsel for the defense. Mr. O'Donnell, I'll be asking you a series of standard questions regarding your background and your time working for the Chicago Police Department, up to and including your time as commander of the Violent Crimes Unit. First, I must ask that you state and spell your name for the record, please.
John, John, middle initial G as in George, O'Donnell, O''Donnell.
Mr. O'Donnell, your birth certificate lists your date of birth as April 14th, 1947 at South Chicago Community Hospital, son of Frank and Eunice O'Donnell. Is that information correct? I must ask that you give a verbal response to satisfy the official record.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Administrative records from Bowen High School indicate that you graduated from there in May 1966. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The following spring, you attended the University of Missouri at Kansas City for one semester?
Yes.
May I ask why you did not return for your second semester?
Objection. Immaterial.
Withdrawn.
Let's just say I wasn't missed.
You enlisted in the United States Army in 1967, serving 2 tours, one in Vietnam, the other in Laos, correct?
And a third in Cambodia.
What was your MOS?
Law enforcement and security.
Military police?
I was an MP, yes.
Could you describe the nature of your work with the military police?
Guard duty, more or less.
Could you elaborate, please?
Military police secure the property and protect the lives of the soldiers of the United States Army. We enforce military law on the base. Did a little recon, prisoner transport, patrols, the usual.
Prisoner transport?
That's what I said.
Prisoners of war would be held on base.
Sometimes.
When these prisoners were in the custody of the United States Army, would they be questioned?
If the intelligence officer thought they knew something,
They would be interrogated?
yes.
Where would these interrogations take place on base?
Well, it wasn't exactly on base. They had a tent set up just off base, and they would separate the prisoners, so one set didn't know what the other was saying. It was pretty smart thinking that way.
Would I be correct in assuming that it was then in the purview of the MP to transport these prisoners to and from the interrogations?
That was part of our job, yes.
If a prisoner were tortured during one of these interrogations, the MP would know about it?
If there was physical bruising, I suppose.
What would the MPs do while these interrogations were taking place?
He'd wait
Outside the tent or inside the tent?
outside, always outside.
The MPs, or rather the intelligence officers wouldn't allow MPs inside the tent during the interrogations?
Nope.
During your time in Vietnam, did you observe or participate in any instances of torture, specifically ones using the method of electric shock?
No.
It's been well documented since that time that U.S. military intelligence operatives routinely tortured prisoners during the Vietnam War. The preferred method, a hand-crank field telephone, also known as the Tucker telephone. Attach the ground wire to the big toe, the live wire to the prisoner's genitals for maximum effectiveness. Sound familiar? It was said to be common practice for these officers to enlist an MP to crank the device, thereby administering the electric shock, allowing themselves enough removed from the act itself to afford them plausible deniability were they to be charged with violation of the Geneva Conventions. Now, I'll ask you again. During your time in Vietnam, did you observe or participate in any acts of torture?
I will adopt my Fifth Amendment rights upon advice of counsel.
You are taking your Fifth Amendment rights.
That's correct.
During your 25 years in the Chicago Police Department, did you witness any instances of torture?
I will adopt the previous answer to the prior question as my response.
You're invoking the Fifth Amendment.
Yes, counsel.
When you interrogated Albert Green in 1982, you used a device similar to the hand-crank field telephone, referred to only as the black box, did you not?
I will adopt my Fifth Amendment rights.
Instructed Detective Burnett to plant that evidence, the red gas can that miraculously appeared out of thin air and in front of Cornelius Child's apartment, thus creating a false chain of evidence implicating an innocent man, did you not?
I will adopt my Fifth Amendment rights as a response to that question.
When Mr. Odom refused to cooperate, did you not tell Detective Terrence Conroy that, quote, "It don't matter, we'll beat it out of him. Every nigger's guilty, don't you know that?"
I will take my Fifth Amendment.
Are you the owner of a charter fishing boat?
I am
And what is the name of that boat?
the vigilante.
And did you own this boat at the time that allegations of torture were first brought against you and other detectives in your command?
Yes.
And did you not subsequently dispose of that black box, your torture device of choice, by driving out on that boat, the vigilante, and dropping it in the Chicago River?
I will take my Fifth Amendment rights as my answer.
In the 1970s and 80s, was there not a systematic pattern of torture and coercion under your command? And was it not standard practice for you and your fellow officers to conspire to convict certain individuals by planting evidence and committing perjury, amongst other criminal infractions?
Of course there fucking was. You don't need this liberal cocksucker to tell you that. It's Chicago, city of big shoulders. Blood's been running through the streets since Capone, and before that. That Pansy Act might work somewhere else, but not here. You come asking me, did I torture murdering scumbags? Of course I fucking did. They deserved it. They was killers, thieves, filthy fucking rats, every last one of them. But if you think you're gonna get me to say it, you got another thing coming. I'm stupid, but I ain't that stupid. That's the name of the game in America. The foundation of this country, the American dream. You do whatever the fuck you want, but don't you dare admit it, or they'll crucify you. No hard evidence. They can speculate to their own conclusions, but you never give an inch, and you got plausible deniability till the cows come home. Not to mention the statute of limitations ran out long ago. But it doesn't matter anyway. The prosecuting attorney, the judges, the cops, the DA, the police board, the Office of Professional Standards and Practices, they was all on our side. They believed in what we was doing, and so did we. We was putting them monkeys behind bars where they belong. And the prosecutors who put them there, they later became the judges that denied their appeals and upheld their confessions. And the cops that didn't slap somebody around once in a while, they kept their mouths shut. We had integrity in those days. And everybody down at City Hall knew what was happening. Don't think they did. They knew as long as they got their votes come election time, they didn't care. Nothing's changed. It never will. All your moral indignation and self-righteous bullshit, it ain't gonna fix a thing. The city ain't in the business of fixing things, or doling out justice. They're in the business of doing business and offering up a sacrificial lamb once in a while, which is why they're coming after me, only because they stand to gain something. But whatever happens, it won't matter. It won't change a thing. What's done is done. Can't be undone. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change a thing. I heard the call. I stood up to defend my city. They pinned a badge on me, put a gun in my hand, and told me to keep order in the jungle. What would you do? Niggers moved into my neighborhood and took over. They took over what they could. They brought their rock and their gangs and their guns. They infected the streets with their black plague. Drove good people out of the city. made it worse. People didn't give a shit about the neighborhoods anymore, so they went to pot. Things were circling the drain. I couldn't let that happen. So I did the only thing I know what to do. I fought back. With my fists, with a gun, whatever. Yeah, I made them talk. Confess. And believe me, if they weren't guilty of one thing, they're guilty of another. I kept the wolves at bay. If I have to do time down the road, it won't matter. I got a place in Florida now. Beats the hell out of these brutal winters with that wind coming off the lake. Makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. I got a new boat. And people pay me to take them fishing out on the ocean, for Christ's sake. It's a dream. And if things don't work out, I always have my police pension.